Hey guys, Justin here. Quick note, this is a second lap hot lap. I just cut a bit of it out because it was kind of redundant. But otherwise, thanks a lot to Steve once again for sponsoring the video in support of St. Jude. If you guys remember, I'm still going to donate all of the money that I get from advertisement on the videos that Steve sponsors along with his membership themselves and going to donate to St. Jude. We're going to tally that up at the end of the year and donate it kind of like a Christmas present to St. Jude from the Arca farm. So if you want to add to that, feel free to use the link below and let me know that you did, and I would really appreciate it. All right, let's get to the lap.
I'm not even sure about doing this week. If I can't run first or second, I'm gonna probably not. They're gonna hang it up for me.
No.
30.104.
Alright, I got a minute on my 11 gigs of download. Steve, I had to...
You have wired internet, right?
Yeah, but doesn't mean it's fast.
Well, I mean,
It's
is it good? Is it consistent?
It's more reliable. That's fine. It's more reliable, but it's not equally.
All right, we're down to a 7-4.
29.74.
All right, let's take a look at that. So this is going to be one of the sketchiest qual laps that you'll probably see. There's not a lot of room for error. So even myself, I'm still maybe like half a tenth off of this when I go for it in real qual laps just because I don't want to risk that much. So let's take a look at it. So this is going to be second lap. First lap, there's just not enough grip. You just slide too much. You can't get the power down quick enough. So you got to put everything into your second lap. So on the out lap, or I mean coming to your second lap, I mean, you can just run a normal 3 and 4 as long as you have a decent runoff. So what I like to do during these is take it a little slow and then make sure that the seam kind of lines up with your steering column. That means that you're pretty high up, not quite in the wall, but you can get a good runoff. So I wait until my car starts turning back down the track before going full throttle. I'm just holding partial for now. And then eventually you see that this moment here where I unturn my wheel, I guess is the way to call it. The moment I can unturn my wheel fully is when I can go full throttle. So you see here, I'm just bringing it back to normal, and that's when I bring up the throttle. And the more you can push that, the more speed you can get out of the corner. So that's good. All right. So go to turn 1 and 2. This is going to be a very interesting line here. So what we want to do here is get to the bottom and then up to the wall and then back to the bottom. This isn't exactly where you want to do it. I just want to give you an idea of the shape of this. So it's going to be a diamond. So the first big thing is you do not want to take the first part of the diamond too shallow, because let's think about it. If we take it at this angle right here, so if I went in really shallow, I would come up to the wall like right here. And there's just so much time you have to wait up by the wall before going back down. You really missed out on a lot of speed. So we want to make like the perfect diamond shape. So the way we do that is more going across it like this and then up to the wall. So the wider you can make this turn down, the better, but we still want a lot of speed out of it. So here's a little point of contention. I like to brake drag right before getting down to here because I feel like I can get to the throttle earlier if I do that. Some people don't like that idea, but I think that you can go either way. So my way is just a slight brake drag, and then the moment that you reach the apron, I like to call it, even though it's not really an apron, I go back to partial throttle, and then by the time the car starts evening out with the wall, I'm slowly bringing it up to full throttle. And then when you're done bringing it up to full throttle, you want your car to be right on the wall. This is the trickiest part because obviously you can't drag the wall or else you're done. So the spacing that I like to use is just like I talked about before. I want this seam to line up with my steering column. That's how you know that you're right by the wall without hitting it. So I keep that seam in my steering column. And then it's really hard to say like exactly when to turn back down. I guess if we were using markers, I would say this lift kits for less logo right here, but maybe even a little later. As late as you can turn down without losing grip, the more speed you're going to have coming off the corner because you can make it a straighter line. If we turn from here, we can make this pretty straight, but if we had to turn down from, if we had to turn down from a little bit earlier, so like let's say we turn it down from here, we're going to have to kind of take a slower angle down just to make the exit. And the faster you can make the exit down, the earlier you can go full throttle. And that's what we're looking for. So I think I might have even come down a little too early here, but it still worked out. You're able to full throttle. This is the goal. You want to full throttle all the way from when you pick it up halfway down the track to off the corner. You do not want to have to let off the gas to stay out of the wall. So we carry all that speed down. You see, it's not my best, but it's close. I think a perfect 1 and 2, I do about half a tenth quicker than this, but it's hard. It's hard to get the timing correct. I will even admit that. So 3 and 4, I go half brake to slow the car down. Remember, we want to brake in a straight line if we want to slow the car down, and if we want to rotate the car, we want to brake just a drag, 10 to 20%. So I go to about halfway in this long white logo section, again, lift kits for less maybe, go to half brake, and then once my car starts entering the corner, I bring it down to a drag. You see it's even more of a drag here. And now we're going to wait on this brake, because the moment the car stops sliding up to the wall, that's when we get back to partial throttle. So you see here, I pick up partial throttle and the car is kind of parallel with the wall. I might have even picked it up a little early. You can push those sort of things in qualifying. So I picked up partial to 70-80% mid-corner, and then you see me unloading the wheel here. This is really tight right now. If you do this correctly, your car's going to be tight, but then there will be a moment where it opens up. And that moment where it opens up, you can start raising your throttle. So you see I'm just slowly raising the throttle. If you go straight from 50% to full throttle, you're going to spin out. So we need to make sure that once the car stops sliding to the wall, we slowly raise the throttle. Slowly, slowly, slowly. And then wherever the car goes, we go. Doesn't matter the line. Wherever the car goes, we go. And we can carry a lot of speed off of here. And that was a very good 3 and 4. And this gets us a 74. And I've seen people do it about half a tenth better, but this is enough of a ask as is. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave in the comments. Otherwise, let's take a look at how we did in the race. All right, well, let's take a look at the race. So very, at the front, it was a kind of a choo-choo train, I'm not going to lie. If you run a good enough line, you can't pass, I don't think. At least it's super hard because you have to take a compromise line, which at Darlington, anything that's not right on the line is really tough. So let me make sure I don't blast your guys' ears out, and we'll see how we did here. So off the start, just don't race off the start at Darlington. It's just not worth it. Cold tires, tight corners. I just let Larry in. Just get into our pack. And then honestly, let me show you my line here. Let's do that. Let's go. It really not much matters here. So let's just go to like lap 15. Let's see what kind of line I was running and how what kind of lines they were running. Me and Larry ended up on pretty much the same tires. He gapped me by about a second. I lost some speed, but I'll show you where I lost speed and how I think I can fix that for next time. So I pick up the gas. It's honestly pretty much the same as qual line. I'd brake drag down, try to just about hit the apron, half throttle, bring it slowly up to full, ride the wall, and then so this is how they were running better than I was, how they were able to get just a little more speed. I just didn't have quite the confidence that they did. Darlington really isn't one of my best tracks, but I was feeling confident here, which is very good, so I'm glad about that. But you can see here, they stay up at the wall marginally longer than I do, and then they turn down sharper than I do. This is good. I just did not feel confident in doing this, so I just sacrificed a little bit of exit speed just to get a more comfortable exit. And what I think they started doing towards the end of the run was maybe just barely touching the brakes when they're ready to turn down, and that'll really help you turn down the hill again. I didn't think of that till the very end, so I didn't really get a chance to implement it, but that was fine. And then 3 and 4, we had two different lines. They went bottom, I went top. I think both are fine. I don't think one's better than the other by much. So we're pretty much doing the same exact thing, just on two different lines. We're doing all of our braking on a straight line, just about, just like I was talking about in the qualifying. And you see I'm getting on the brakes earlier because I want to stay in this lane, the second to top lane. I don't want to risk going too far to the top. So I let it drift up kind of close to the wall, and then I pick up partial throttle. So we do our braking to slow down in a straight line. Then we bring it down to a drag once we start turning the wheel. Then once the car stops sliding up to the wall, we bring back partial throttle. And then we just slowly raise it. And then don't go full throttle until you can see the exit. So like right here, if you try to go full throttle here, it might work. But what you're gaining is not too much. And what you are risking is getting loose and spinning out or getting tight and hitting the wall. So just wait until you have a straight line. You're already going fast enough up here. That was kind of just chilling too. There was no real point in racing here. And then you can see as the laps go on, we had a challenger. I had a challenger for my spot, but I knew he was burning his stuff up. He was really taking it aggressive. So I'm like, I'm just not going to let him by. I'm just going to run the top, and then eventually he'll mess up, and I was right. He just sails it. See, the problem with this angle, this is a good learning situation. Look at my angle versus his. You got to commit. Are you going to run the bottom like Larry, or are you going to run the middle like I am? What he does right here is he goes to the middle, but he doesn't use enough brake to turn his car to account for that. So now he's just purely sliding up into the wall. So look at it might be a little hard to see the differences in our car angle, but I am already parallel with the wall at this point, and he is still pointed towards it. And because of that, I kind of lead him up there because I'm already on the throttle, and he kind of follows me, right? But because his angle is not as good as my angle, when we both hit the throttle at the same time, he just realizes too late he's already in the wall. And then he kind of sticks around, but what we can see here, and right here, just a small error of trying to force too much. He got loose under throttle, which means that he's not smooth enough on this throttle up. So instead of going to half first, he might have jammed full throttle here. And if you jam full throttle here, you're going to lose your rears. And if you lose your rears, you lose your angle. You don't really know where you're pointed at anymore. So now he's just trying to guess. He's like, okay, I see these guys. They're already on the throttle here. So if they can do it, I can do it. So he jams the throttle, but suddenly he doesn't have the grip to keep off the wall because we already have the grip to stay off the wall. And he just basically gets in the wall. And I don't have to worry about him anymore. So honestly, besides that, for the rest of the race, we were pretty much just single file. I fell back a bit by the end, and I'll show you what I was doing wrong. First off, in turns 1 and 2, I just wasn't as confident getting to the top anymore. You see how close they are to the wall? This is how you perform when you're super duper comfortable with what you're doing, and hitting the wall is like not even a question to you. I'm not there yet. I gotta leave myself a little room because I'm just not quite there yet. And that's okay. You're probably not there yet either. So I just want to show you that you can be fine and not just rip the wall. But you got to know that the punishment is that your run off the corner is not nearly as good because you don't have the same straight line. And then let's look at the entrance to 3 and 4 here. We have the same entrance. I'm starting to go to the low line because I don't think it matters too much and I don't want to hit the wall. But I jammed the throttle too early. So if you can see, kind of track the distance between my bumper and his if you can. He slows down so much more than I do. And when he gets on the throttle, he's able to drive it off the corner. And I'm not quite able to. I'm just not quite able to get the same angle, the same run as him. And this is where most of the time is coming from. So if I held my brake just a fraction longer, if I was still on the brake right about right here, and then moved to the gas about right here, I would have matched him. So that's what I can do better, and I think that that's a good lesson that a lot of you guys can take away from this. The later you get into the run, just hold your brake just a tiny bit longer, and you'll be able to get a better run off the corner. So in the end, we all just kind of stayed in place. He gapped me a little more, but then we kind of equalized. Never hit the wall. I scraped the wall in a straightaway looking at my relative, but it didn't even magnet wall me, so I don't count it. And we get to the finish. And good win to Jack. He put a screaming qualifying time. I cannot imagine going for it that hard in qualifying. So props to him. And we still come on with a podium, which I like. This is one of my worst tracks, so I'm glad to get a good result here. But anyways, thank you all for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you all on the track.